Namaste, Sat Sri Akal, Salam Alaikum. Welcome back to this series on the comparison C between Hindi-Urdu grammar and the grammar of standard American English, whatever that might mean. Let's just say American English. And Hindi-Urdu, of course, is the common spoken language of many parts of South Asia and globally around the world. There are many speakers of Hindi-Urdu. In fact, it's close to the third largest spoken language in the world. Previously, we have commented on how Hindi-Urdu nouns have gender. And when we mention gender, we're talking about the grammatical term gender. And that's why we say that Hindi-Urdu nouns are either masculine or feminine. We're not talking about biology or gender in that sense. I just want to make that very, very clear that we're talking about grammar. So Hindi-Urdu nouns have inherent marked gender. It's marked in the lexicon. It is not related to the meaning of the word because you can have two synonyms for the same object, the word. You could have two synonyms, but one could be masculine gender and one would be feminine gender. It's quite possible. For example, there are two words for letter. One is chitti, which is feminine, and the other is patra or khat. And both of those are masculine. It's the same object. So gender in Hindi-Urdu does not, it's not linked to meaning, does not make sense, okay, and is something that is entered in the lexicon of the word. So does this mean that gender is unpredictable? Well, if we look at the words and if we look certainly at the singular form of the words, it seems that gender might be unpredictable. For example, if we have a Hindi-Urdu noun, and we've said that Hindi-Urdu nouns are either masculine or feminine. And if we have a noun that ends in a, it is usually masculine. Okay? If we have a noun and we're talking about in the singular form, if we have a Hindi-Urdu noun that ends, singular noun, that ends in E, then it is usually feminine. However, you could sometimes get words that end in A but are feminine. So, however, you could have a word like hawa, which means breeze, and hawa, although it ends in a, it is feminine. Similarly, you could have words that end in e. For example, admi, which although it ends in e, it is masculine. It means a man. But again, remember, it's not linked to the meaning of the word. So it just so happens that admi ends in e but is masculine. And certainly, you know, what do you do with words that end in a consonant? So if a word ends in a consonant, we have no predictions to make. So, for example, you have a word like haath, which means hand, and this is masculine, whereas you have another word that ends in a consonant, for example, kitab, and this is feminine. So just if we look at the singular forms, we cannot predict gender based on the singular forms. Okay? However, can we then say that gender is unpredictable in Hindi-Urdu? Well, no, that would really mean that it is very difficult to figure out the gender, and that all words must be learned, their gender must be learned, right? So that would create tremendous issues. At the same time, in teaching and learning, it would mean that we would have to indicate the gender of every single thing to the ridiculous extent that we're putting acha ya achi before every noun, right? And you will see people putting down like achi maut, like a good death, because in order to mark gender. On the other hand, we do know that in Hindi-Urdu, if you make up a new word, you give a novel word to someone, they can tell you the gender, but especially if you give them the plural form, right? So suppose we make up a word, and we, let's borrow some examples from standard linguistics things, right? This is a wug, and in English we tend to ask like, what are these? And so these are two wugs, right? We can do the same thing in the Urdu. If this is a wug, now it depends on what we classify the plural as, or what we come up with for the plural. Okay, so someone could tell you ye ek wag hai, ye do wag hain, or they could say ye ek wag hai, ye do wagain hain. Okay, the moment you hear wagain, for example, now you can predict that if we set up an experiment and say, ye achhi wagain hain ya buri wagain hain, right? No one will have any grammar issues with that, right? They can easily accommodate the fact that we're putting in achhi before wagain. At the same time, if we imagine the plural to remain wag, then we'll say ye achhe wag hain, or ye bure wag hain. So notice what I'm doing. I am claiming that the gender is predictable based on the plural form of the noun. So let's look at some plurals. So for example, ek haath, we'll get the plural form do haath. Let's take a word like ghar, which means home or house, right? Ek ghar, do ghar. How about some other plurals like ek kitab, do kitabein. Okay. And you can take something like diwar, which is a wall, right? Ek दीवार, दो दीवारें, right? So what we notice is, if a plural ends in nasalization, then it is feminine. Whereas if the plural noun ends in anything else, it is masculine. Okay. So now we have a rule. Okay. Repeating the rule, if the plural ends in nasalization, it is feminine. If the plural ends in anything else, any other consonant, any other vowel, anything else other than nasalization, it is masculine. So this means that gender is completely predictable in Hindi-Urdu. Okay. I'm just going to add two other examples. For example, we have ladkiyan, which means girls. Okay. Again, we're getting the nasal at the end. And we can take our exception earlier and get the word for breezes or winds, like kitabein or hawaein. Let me change my marker. So if we have hawaein, which means winds, like hawaein, thandi hawaein. There's some song too, right? Thandi hawaein, lehra ke aaye. So it ends in nasalization. It is feminine. Here, let us add something like gadhe, which ends in a. Okay. And let's look at admi. The plural remains admi. Okay. So whatever these endings might be, consonants or a or e, or if you look at the plural of ullu, it remains ullu. So it could end in u. Okay. Whatever it ends in, not nasalization. So masculine plurals end in anything but nasalization. Feminine plurals must end in nasalization. Therefore, back again, repeating the rule at the end of this segment, repeating the rule that if a plural noun ends in nasalization, then it is feminine, otherwise it's masculine. In the next segment, we will try to see how to go from the singular to the plural. What are the rules? But please realize gender is predictable.